It is 6 p.m., so I call the meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission for December 8th to order. We have two commissioners, actually our chair and one commissioner absent today. Jim Miller has been excused, and Karim Jackman has a voluntary announced absence. All other commissioners are present, and we do have a quorum. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. It is time for citizens' comments, but I don't think we have any. Okay, so we will move on to our business items. Item 5A, approval of the minutes for November 10th. Does anyone have corrections or comments with regard to the minutes? If not, can I get a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I second it.
So I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Unanimous. Next item is the Planning and Zoning Commission items discussed at the December City Council meeting. There were no actionable items brought before City Council, but I did advise them that the technical committee met on November 23rd, and we believe we're very close to having the draft ordinance ready to bring before Planning and Zoning. Yes, Planning and Zoning. In addition, City Council was given an update by City Administrator Ms. Kane. You might recall that a couple of meetings ago, I believe it was in October, we had a Mr. Scott Smith that came before Planning and Zoning wanting a rezoning to some property on the south side of FM 2252. And he came before Planning and Zoning to have that rezoned to B1. Planning and Zoning sent the recommendation to City Council. City Council also approved his request with the caveat that he had to show that he actually owned the property. That was that situation. He did not own the property at the time he came before us or City Council. And he was given, I believe it was 30 days to bring it before City Administrator. And she mentioned at the City Council meeting last week that he had not brought anything forward. So as of right now, the property remains residential agriculture. And it'll just stay that way. Would he have to come back then again before either City Council or Planning and Zoning?
Yes, they will have to come back and ask for rezoning on that property.
Okay. And this, if they come back, we would probably want them to already own the property since he's already gone through this iteration once, right?
Either, yeah.
Okay.
Yes. And it may be somebody different in the future. It may
True.
not be
True.
the same individual.
Yes. Okay. Section 5, item number 2.1. Discuss and make possible recommendations related to the master land use plan and map. I don't know if you were able to watch the streaming or the video recording of the Planning and Zoning meeting from last month. Okay. So what happened was Ms. Kane discussed changing the current master land use plan to properly reflect the future use of the club at Garden Ridge as Country Club District. Because if we look at the map, it's actually not reflected that way in the map. And we discussed that, but we actually did not take action on it. So this way, if you have any comments or questions, they can be brought up before we actually take a vote for recommending to City Council to have the master land use plan map changed to reflect the Country Club District. Anybody?
I don't have anything.
No comments, no questions? Okay. I'm sorry?
I see no problem with doing that. It makes sense.
Yeah.
And it's actually, that's what it's actually in our old one, it's reflected as Country Club District, correct?
Correct. It is currently reflected as Country Club District zoning. And of course, that category would have to be added to our new proposed
Map and
Right.
plan, okay,
Or change the definition.
right. So,
There was another item that,
yes, there's another item, but I wanted to do this
oh, you
one
want to do
first.
one?
Yes, yes. So, do we have any, if we're okay and we don't have problems with it, and the city administrator went through a very good explanation of that particular area, would someone like to make a motion that we approve a recommendation to go before city council for that?
I make a motion to approve that.
Okay,
Second.
so we have a motion and a second to bring this particular property or district to city council to reflect Country Club District and adjust our master land use plan and the map to reflect that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I think that was unanimous, okay. We had another one as well. There's a property at the northwest corner of FM 3009 and 2252, that intersection. And we need to make that retail anchor, is that correct? Because I don't think it is.
It's not reflected as retail anchor. It is directly across 2252 from retail anchor, and the property owner feels that would be the best use of the property. Right now, it is the little orangey color, which is, I'm sorry, I'm office. And she felt, is it light retail?
Well, the little corner is light retail, then
Oh,
the
okay.
section, the big section next to it is.
I'm
retail.
not doing well with the color from this distance.
Yeah.
Be the retail, the anchor, retail anchor.
So that's the one directly across from number 2? Is that little piece right there?
Yes, that little corner there,
The corner.
immediately at the intersection, right below the bluish,
Right,
yes,
that
right
little-
there.
right
little
there.
area right there.
Oh,
yeah.
that
Yes.
little bitty
Yeah,
area.
little bit
Yes.
area.
Right
Yeah.
on
the corner.
A little over 3 acres, I think.
Okay, but we also had some discussion on this. Is there currently a property in that location?
You mean a structure?
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
a
there
structure,
is a-
That historical home, that is part of that property.
right. Did
Actually,
we,
the historical home, I drove by there, it's down below that corner.
It's further
by
down,
About
maybe.
150 feet.
Yeah, but,
So it's not actually in that piece of property.
Yeah,
It's in the
Okay.
next adjoining piece.
Yeah.
okay, because we had the discussion about, this is
yes.
probably what they would like.
It's part of it.
And just, okay, is it not, what is it zoned right now?
Right now, it's zoned B1, which is neighborhood, and currently a retail
Neighborhood
neighborhood services.
So if it, that's not, that's in the new, if we went forward, it would be B1.
No, currently,
Currently it's B1.
currently it's B1.
Okay. Did
And
we have to come before planning and zoning to get that changed, or How would that work?
No, it would be on that master, it would be reflected on the master land use plan as a proposed use for that property. And should she, how will that, well, so B1 currently reflects what Special District 3 would be, is equivalent to Special District 3. So if she wants that property rezoned to anchor retail, she will have to go right back, she will have to go back through rezoning, correct, Cynthia? But she felt the anchor retail was the best use for that
Okay.
that corner.
Say that again, about
Currently, the property is
B1.
zoned B1, which our current zoning is neighborhood services, which includes your office and professional as well as your retail.
Okay,
She felt that the best use for that property would be anchor retail. So she feels that the master land use plan should reflect that that property be anchor retail. But since the property has the equivalent of neighborhood services, then she would have to come in and get rezoning for anchor retail.
okay, that's what I thought. There was that last piece. You would have to come before planning and zoning to begin with to get that changed. So essentially, the information that you gave us was kind of a heads up
Yes.
last month that said this is what she is wanting to do.
It was something that was brought to my attention by
Okay.
that particular property owner.
Okay, so there's really no action to be taken on this at this point?
We
What?
still have to change this map. Otherwise,
No, okay,
if we don't change this map, then when she applies to rezone it, we can't do it because it's not reflected on this map. We have to use this map as
This is our guide.
our guide.
okay,
So
so,
if this map does not allow that, then we cannot recommend.
so we have to, what we can do is allow for anchor, retail anchor to go.
We have to change the
Yes.
map to do that.
Okay, so it's just changing the map,
Right.
Right,
Yes.
correct.
okay.
See, that's what happened to when we talked about on Necco Loop, that
Right.
they were asking for in light industrial, but
Right.
this map did not allow that, so
Right.
we couldn't.
And we wouldn't have.
So it was-
We couldn't-
became a
yeah.
moot point.
Yeah. Now, one thing I like to add is when the master land use plan was discussed in city council, this question did come up, and I was here, and it was discussed like this, but I brought up during the citizen comment that that should be an anchor, and I know at least one council member said the same thing, so I thought it was gonna get changed. So I was surprised to see that it didn't get changed. So I know it was discussed in city council, and city council was in favor at one point, but I guess it wasn't processed properly, so.
Can I ask a question? On anchor retail, is there a physical size limitation, minimum, maximum?
Yeah, it's not a very big piece of property.
It's only a little, when she purchased that from Mr. Miller, that was only.
I would have to go
3.5
pull my, the new proposed ordinance. I left it sitting on my desk. Sorry.
Okay, so that was my question, because it's
So-
a very small plot in there, and then with the impervious cover adjustment, I think we did some of that on that property already.
Correct.
In that, but even with that, you're still only working with
I know
a
the
little
anchor
bit less than 4 acres, and that, and the historic house is part of that property.
That
That property line
historic house
runs
is part
right
of
up
it.
between Mr. Miller's
Right.
property and the well, and 3009 and 2252.
I could better answer your question if I had
Yeah.
the proposed
So
ordinance in
that's the
front
only
of
thing,
me.
before we go and change it, and then we go, oh, we're below the size requirement for anchor retail, because I would think that it would be bigger than 3 acres.
And one thing that, just a proposal or a suggestion, is perhaps we don't move forward yet with the changes to the master land use plan. So just in case we come across something else while we're still processing our zoning ordinance rewrite that may need change, then we can add that to this and do it all at one time rather than
Piecemeal.
piecemeal.
Okay, so then what we just did on the country club district, do we need a motion to table that recommendation going to city council at this time?
Think you could rescind that motion or amend the motion to add it to, how do I want to say this?
Yeah, we didn't say.
Right.
But
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. We are okay with recommending to city council that country club district. However, that's why I'm saying table the fact that it's going to city council possibly in January, table that.
Table it until you're
Till
ready
after
to make all proposed changes
For the land.
to the master land
Right,
use plan.
Right.
Are you good with that, Cynthia? Yes.
Okay, so nobody else has to do anything, we just put that in the minutes, that,
And you're good with minutes on that? Okay.
that's right. Okay, so I do have a question then on the retail anchor. Where's retail anchor down? The retail anchor is the property like around number 4?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we already have a designation of retail anchor at the other corner of 2252 and 3009,
Correct.
as well as is that the south side? The south side also, it looks like it's designated retail anchor. Yes, both sides of that, right. Okay. Okay. Now that we're thoroughly confused. All right, and just so you know, Commissioner Heyer, another thing that we discussed last month was the possibility of seeing if there were any other tracts of land where we could designate garden homes, as opposed to area, well, where that area below, well, right, yes, well, that's retail anchor, but we had,
That was number 5. 4? Oh, 4, yeah, I see.
Map actually has that, here it actually has that, we're over.
Yeah, it says retail anchor.
Anchor.
can we go up on the map?
The other mixed use was.
No, the other way.
2. That was another area that we.
5 is what's set up as medium density.
Well, that was it.
That's
No,
the
that's
garden.
way further down.
Okay, so even that may need to be
Well, we
looked
only
at
had-
as far as the
Yeah,
designation.
we only had one area designated for garden homes.
And that was,
It's number
5.
5.
yeah,
And that's way away from, yeah.
Right. So, okay.
so we actually discussed other possibilities
Garden homes,
of tracts of land for garden homes.
okay.
And it was just a discussion, no action was taken, or, because my thought was over by where I guess it was number 7 is, but where's 1?
Number 1,
Oh, that's a 1?
That's a
Okay,
1, yeah.
that's a 1, all right, yes.
yes.
City administrator said that one resident owns all that property.
That's correct.
And they are, if they divide it up, they were possibly looking at putting in single, low-density residential.
In the interest of full disclosure, that's my daughter
Oh, your daughter, okay.
and her
So-
husband. So,
Okay.
yes, and he's a developer. Yeah, they'd have to bring in water rights according to our current rules. And he's already looked at the feasibility. They did a feasibility study to see if different scenarios for different densities of houses to go in there. The limiting factor, and certainly this is, there was septic systems. You know, a septic system to service medium-density housing seem to be, at the very least, uneconomical, okay? It seems to be, and I won't speak for them, but just knowing where it would be to have the sewer line go up there. And then it could happen. But
Well,
this is all just
Right.
conjecture and
Right.
discussion and things like that. So right now, there's 55 acres there. And they're building right now on a substantial piece of it, the piece that's north of the power line, okay? And I think it looks like they're gonna develop that entire property to be their residence,
Right.
which is somewhere in the neighborhood of probably 30 acres, my guess. I don't know, I didn't measure it, but it's the larger portion of this property when it's divided by the power line. But the portion divided by the power line that's south and adjacent to Wildwood is a very substantial piece of property. And garden homes certainly could be built in there. There's nothing to say they couldn't, but from a feasibility and economic standpoint, it's a septic system to support it.
What was we had a question about to that, or how that could work. And again, the property owner, if they decided to come before the commission to say, they would have to think about all this and how, and also if once they sold off the land or to a developer, the cost for bringing sewer to that would also be incorporated into
Well, that's
the
true.
price.
Yes, obviously, so there's lots of what ifs.
Yes.
And it's not, anything's possible. My recommendation would be that if the city is entertaining that as an area for medium-density housing, that they should engage in thoughtful conversation with the property owners and leave it at that and see what they want to do. Because I can't tell you what it is.
Right.
Right, no.
Even if I knew,
Well, and we were just having the discussion.
yeah, it's a
Because
good
of,
discussion.
because of the fact that it is, it's, up over 60 acres, even if they took half.
Right.
Where the other proponent was gonna put, actually, high density, was 15 acres, if I'm not mistaken. And they were
Yeah.
just crammed in there.
I think they would welcome the conversation, let me just say that. And
Okay.
let's see where it goes from there, but I would think it would behoove the city to reach out to them and approach it from that perspective. And business is business, that's all I can tell you. It's business.
And I think the whole thing was, because we discussed, if the city, whether they wanted to or not, if the city wanted to go in and just rezone that medium density, then they could always have low density in there, right, if they chose. But it would allow them to put in medium density if we allowed it, if we allowed that.
We're not allowing any low density in our ordinance. We're only allowing medium density.
Well, it's already low
I
density.
mean, low density in that.
Low
It's-
density, right, yeah.
It's
you're right.
already low
It's not high
density.
density, I meant.
No,
Yeah.
we're not, I didn't
Yeah,
say
yeah.
high.
Right now, it's low density, that's what it is right
Right,
now.
it is low density now. So if they, right now, with their thought might be, well, all I can put in here is break up the tracks and
Right.
put in more,
Correct.
single-family homes.
It's already.
But if the city, or I think you've got the best point, maybe the city needs to have a discussion to say, would you like to think about that?
I really think it's the property owner who needs to come forward and not us go to them. So I would like to just leave this like it is.
Right.
So I would leave it up to the
Yeah.
owner to,
I prefer that.
So.
Well,
I
okay, so
prefer that
have them-
direction.
yeah, I don't see what's going on.
Okay, so either they need to look at this video, or somebody needs to tell them, by the way, did you?
Well,
look
that-
at
I
this?"
mean, I kind of think that was my point. It's
Yes.
not that, it's their property. They can do
Exactly.
Anything they want with or not want with, but if, it sounds like it was brought up in this meeting last time and tonight, because the city is interested in doing something.
Well, as a
Or having-
possibility.
Well, whatever.
Yes.
So the city has brought it up in a formal commission meeting. So my recommendation is contact them and see if that's the only way to make it, they can't read our minds.
It would be significant cost to put a sewer line down there.
Absolutely.
Right.
Or the other potential is a package plant, but that's just as much cost.
Right,
So
right.
you could
Takes
not,
room.
you could not put septic into
Yeah.
medium or high density.
No.
It's just too cost prohibitive.
Well, we don't have high density. There is none in our
Not
plan.
yet.
And they've platted it so it could be low density, and they understand what that is also, but then again, there's the water rights issue that enters into that. So, again, I won't beat this dead horse, but if the city is interested in having medium-density housing in that area and changing the master plan, I think it would behoove the city to go forward to the property owner to broach that subject. That would be my opinion.
And I'm going back to my opinion is, we ought to should leave it alone. We're not gonna, if they're interested in doing it, they come forward. So I don't see us going out to it.
I agree with
I
that.
don't think we ought to,
Let,
be doing
let them bring it forward, and
yeah.
right now, personally, I don't think that's I mean, yes, it can be done, but it's gonna be, the cost is gonna be prohibitive.
Yeah, because that one's further away. You know, when the property over here where number 4 is, was looked at, the sewer line was close by.
It was right there.
Yeah.
So
That
they would be
cost-
paying
that
for,
would
they would
be-
be paying for a short part
Yeah,
of
that
it.
wouldn't be-
Here, they'll be paying for a big portion of, a couple
Well, it's
miles
not
anyway.
they, it's whoever the developer would be,
Well,
and
that's
then
what-
it gets passed,
Yes.
you know, so.
It's still gonna
But
get
it was
banned.
just, yes, and so all this was just a discussion. There is no action to be taken. I was filling in Commissioner Heyer to let him know that this discussion did take, I wanted him to know that, none? Okay, then we will move on to the draft zoning ordinance. In your packet, we had the table 2.05.07 to discuss with regard to what's currently here and what we know needs to be changed. So, anybody want to start out, Commissioner Valdez?
Yeah, when I was looking at this, you know, when we were looking at garden home discussion earlier this year, and looking at column RN here, so the third column, that's a new one. That's the residential neighborhood district, which allows for medium density. One question I had was around the lot frontage width. And just a quick, if you go with 5-foot sideline, setback lines on the side, and you want a side entry, need a side entry garage, you probably need at least 50 feet frontage. There's no way to get a car in there otherwise, unless you have a little bitty thing.
Motorcycle.
Right.
So you were talking about the minimum lot frontage fee under RN,
Right, that's what I
which
was.
currently shows 40.
Right, I was just gonna suggest that we go to 50, because when you go to quarter acre lots or 10,000 square feet, and even if you go 50, you're still allowing up to, it has to be what, 200? Is that right? Is that right? Yeah, 200 depth. It's 50 by 200, or 100 by 100, you know, to get 100,000 square feet, or somewhere in that multiplication part. Leave it at, you saw it raised up to 50. But when we had that discussion, it also brought up the other column. So anyway, that's one item. I don't know if we want to talk about these all at the same time, or how you want to handle this.
I would just say I would agree with. what
Well,
you're saying.
I think that we deducted after our conversation that the minimum lot footage, not the minimum lot width, but the minimum lot footage should indicate cul-de-sac.
Where are you? Okay.
On the chart,
Yeah, but square footage you mean, or
no, the minimum lot frontage,
Frontage, not.
frontage?
Frontage.
yes, frontage, that really should indicate cul-de-sac,
Got it.
because right now, any of our neighborhoods, minimum lot frontage on a cul-de-sac is 50 feet.
Okay.
So the wording on.
So we need to add,
Should say cul-de-sac.
yes.
Oh, we should have two lines? Should we have one for,
And then below that, the minimum lot width is going to be that frontage along a roadway that is not a cul-de-sac,
oh, got it. I see them, okay.
which for the the RE district, that conforms currently to what our current zoning ordinance is of 120 feet.
Okay.
And again, we're back at, under the RN district, we're back to the 45 foot. So that's, it goes back to your concerns, Mr. Valdez.
So first of all, we need to add
Cul-de-sac.
the verbiage cul-de-sac on 1, 2, 3, 4. Fifth line down, where it says minimum lot frontage.
Yes,
Say cul-de-sac on that?
yes, we need to specify that's cul-de-sac
Cul-de-sac,
frontage.
got it.
Okay. But we also need to look at changing that 40 to 50, or if it's a cul-de-sac, will that work?
It might work.
Because
40
the
might
other
work,
one,
40 may work on that, you know.
The
Could-
one below it then is 40 to 45. Do we
Yeah.
need to do 40 to 45, or does that need to change to 50? Because that's the one
Yeah,
that's,
yeah.
Typically, your cul-de-sac lots will be narrow at the front, and then they widen out pictures.
so sticking with the cul-de-sac line, will the 40 work for that under RN?
It should.
Yeah,
Uh,
it should, if it's a
yeah.
cul-de-sac, yeah, I mean,
Okay, and it is changed to cul-de-sac.
It's gotta be, it's gotta be at least 50 feet at the time where the house starts, probably, to get it to work out. So, yeah, it probably
right.
works,
So 40,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
should leave it at 40.
but as long as we have cul-de-sac on
So
there, it
the
makes
front
sense.
plane of the
Right.
house would still have to be 5 feet off of the property line on
Yeah.
either side.
Right,
So
right,
then
on
you-
top of that.
Okay, so then you move down one, at the minimum lot width, interior corner. Do we leave that at 40, 45 under RN, or do we change that to 50?
I think that's where your concerns come in,
That's where my
Mr.
concern was,
Valdez.
that a 40. Well, it's hard to put in a side entry, garage.
Yeah.
At below 50.
Right,
So why do we want to leave this
Yeah.
one at 45?
so, yeah,
But if you're going minimum or the medium density, a lot of those homes are front garage.
You can't.
still gotta be side entry.
Well, if you got your side entry, it won't work.
You have to have at
We
least
have to
50 feet.
adjust this.
And
If the
this would
dis-
be on a 10,000 square foot lot.
On that either.
There-
I mean, we,
All the developers that I've seen that are doing the garden homes and stuff,
rear entry
are all rear entry, rear alleyway.
with an alleyway.
Yeah, they're all rear entry because of that width
we're-
and length.
But we're also saying minimum is 10,000 square feet, not 4,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, because what he was trying to do before
Well,
was
you're
high
gonna,
density.
well, if you're gonna do that, you're gonna have to change, on the minimum lot area and dwelling units, then you're gonna have to change that category from 4, because that's 4 per 10,000 feet.
Correct.
So we have to make a change there and say, okay, well, you're only gonna put 2 in, or you're gonna put 1 in 10,000 square feet,
No, you're putting 4 in per acre.
you know,
4
so.
units. See,
4 units per acre, which is a quarter acre, which is
I
10,000 square
think he's
feet.
talking garage spaces.
Yeah, so, anyway, like I was saying, I've never seen a garden home community put in with side entry.
No.
Between Dallas, Houston, Austin, San Antonio. you
I think
name
we
it,
need to be
that's it.
careful here is we don't have garden homes in the spec. We've been calling them, what we're calling it, that's low density, that's high density,
Yeah.
is garden homes. So I don't see garden homes And I'll tell you from experience, my daughter has a quarter-acre lot, 5 feet side setback lines with a side entry garage, and it's 50 feet, and it's barely able to get in there, you know. It's 200 feet long, the lot,
Right.
so he's got plenty of room. The house is really long. So, that's the point, is, we're not, you know, we've been just saying it, calling garden homes, but it's not, we should not call them garden homes. We should get away from that term in this, just stay with medium density, is what we ought to do that. Because garden homes is high density. You gotta get away from that.
Then the minimum lot width needs to go up to 50 to 65.
I
That
think
needs to
so.
be increased.
Yeah.
I would agree.
Are we answering what the public was asking us to do? If you want
Yes.
to, if you want to come back and reside in Garden Ridge, but you don't want a big lot and you don't want a big house, are we eliminating that possibility?
No, because in the master land use plan, the residents did not want high density. They were okay with medium density, but not high density. They wanted smaller lot sizes. But if you go land use plan in the survey,
Well, and we
'cause-
don't have high density anywhere.
right.
Right.
Is that, am I saying it correctly, Ms. Kane?
Yeah.
I think so. I think so.
The question would be, do we need to restructure our definition on,
So what?
by changing changing all the dimensional high density, so we're not allowing high density?
In the way, that's what I was trying to do by making the
Yeah.
lots wider.
Well, and that's what we're doing this evening. We're
Right.
looking at the numbers.
The minimum,
To make
yeah.
sure that they fit medium density
Yeah.
and don't give the impression that we're allowing high density.
Right, the minimum lot size is
Right.
10,000 square feet. That's a
Yeah.
little less than a quarter of an acre.
So if you're allowing a 40-foot lot, that's what, how long is that? Let me get my calculator.
It's
I know 50 by 200 is, it's over 200 feet.
50 by 200.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's,
I mean.
50 by
there it
200 is,
10,000 square feet.
yeah,
And maybe let's make it easy, just say 50 by 200.
yeah.
Minimum, that's the minimum. That doesn't mean it can't be a little more.
Yeah,
I think we're kind of splitting hairs here if we just keep it simple.
right.
I
Go
agree.
Minimum of 50 frontage and 200
depth.
depth, and we're done.
Yeah,
And they can, anything they want to make a little bigger than that, okay.
yeah. Now, we're allowing depth size further down at 90, so. So anyway, it's gonna be
Well, then it'd have to be.
100 plus, yeah.
Then it'd have to be frontage would have to be wider. I mean,
They have to be, yeah.
It's,
I'm almost thinking about changing the 90 to 100, that way its minimum is 100 by 100,
that's,
you know,
that's easy too.
yeah.
Why not change the front footage or the minimum lot width on that to 60?
60?
I mean, that's going to be half of what we're
Right.
minimum width is right now.
I would
So
go
take
along with
off
that.
the
And then it leaves a little bit
60.
more variable, so you don't end up having that super long.
Yeah, you don't want,
Yeah,
it could easily. look
Long
like
lot.
everything's built on top of one another, and, I mean, even if you go to the Woodlands and you see these beautiful big homes and they're 10 feet across from, 10 feet of space between them. It's ridiculous. I mean,
that's the way, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's, yeah.
So I would
I'm
say,
looking at my daughter's house, and I'm looking right
I
down.
would be, to me, the wider the better. I'm coming from that perspective, so 60, sure.
I'm okay, I'm better, I'm even better with that one. I was gonna say 50 minimum, but I like 60 better. So, and I like your concept about half of the current.
Yeah, okay.
That's
So
a nice,
minimum lot width, interior corner is what we're saying.
It means either corner lot or an interior lot.
Right, interior/corner would be 60.
Now, does that leave enough room for a side entry garage?
for 10 feet, actually.
Okay, but so let's go back up to the top and work our way down, staying on our end right now.
Okay.
So, I think this one currently has 15, and we knew that probably wasn't actually, it had changed a couple of times, but the last change that I have shows it at 20. Am I correct on that?
The front setback?
The minimum front yard setback.
I know the chart I'm looking at has 15. I don't,
The one that, yes, that's on the screen says 15. In the second revision, it actually had 10, and then it was crossed out and 20 was put on there.
Yeah, I have the one that has, the copy I have has 10 on here,
Yeah. And
with the
then-
15 scripts, yeah.
So,
I would,
That's too small.
yeah, I think that's too little.
remember, you're going to have a fairly long lot,
Yeah.
Yeah,
so it's going to be
there's no
fairly
reason
deep.
It couldn't be
20.
at least 20, 25. I mean, right now, it's 45, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
Right?
Cut it in half
So,
again?
well, yeah, so at least 20 or
20.
25. I mean, we want to.
Well, okay, so we can say 25, because
Right.
this is just what we would recommend to city council, then they can come back
And I
and
would
fix
go
it
with
for something
25.
else. 25?
Works for me.
I'm good.
We're saying getting this? Okay. Minimum side yard setback. So this is where we don't want them like,
Right. So if we just went to 50, or to 60, I think we all agree we don't want 5, right? So is it 10 and 10 on either side with a 40-foot wide house in the middle of that? That would be your 60,
Yeah?
okay?
Well, the 10-foot, the 510 here, the 10 is the corner lot, so
Right,
we
well-
want to do 10 and
10 and
15?
10 and 15?
For the corner?
Yeah, for the corner, sure. Works for me, anyway.
now, minimum rear yard setback is currently 10.
That needs to get increased also.
To 15,
Let's make it 15.
because I found out we currently don't have a rear.
No, you don't have a rear setback, but our ordinance currently says that you have to have, so in other words, has to be a rear yard of at least 25 feet.
Yeah.
Oh, I took that as setback at 25 when I read it. Okay, thank you for clarifying that.
So this 15-foot rear yard setback in the residential estate, the
Right.
lots we are used to now will now be 15 feet from the property line in.
So it's,
And then 10 is what we have for the RN, the smaller lots.
Want to make it the same, 15?
yeah,
Why don't we just go with 15?
thoughts, commissioners?
That would be all right, since we're.
And you just can't build in that setback.
Right. 15 feet should be fine.
So if we're in the rear of the house, 25 feet plus 15, now 40 feet off the property.
Well, we'll be taking that 25-foot depth out. That's not going to be in here.
So we're not gonna have a rear yard.
No, not that rear yard requirement. But there will now be a minimum setback, or a rear yard setback.
That you cannot build.
You can't build in that setback without a variance. Except put your fence up.
So 15, and we're still on our end, 15. Maximum dwelling units per acre, we need to look at that.
Good with that, as it is.
Yeah?
And cul-de-sac is 40. Correct?
Mhm.
And then the minimum lot width, interior and corner, we just have 60, or do we have 60, 60, or what?
60 and 75 it would be now, I
Oh,
think.
'cause, yeah.
Nor 65.
Yeah, you only have 5 feet difference, so. 60 and 65, I mean, so that one mic wasn't on.
60 and 65 under minimum lot width interior and then corner.
Right.
So minimum lot depth, did we decide to go to the 100 or to leave it at 90?
I'd leave it at 90. I mean,
Commissioners?
you don't want to restrict the developer too much.
Well, we don't want,
If it's 110 foot wide, 90 is going to fill the 10,000 square feet or real close.
Yeah, it'd be 111, yeah. That's fine.
so we're okay with 90? All right. Now, the maximum height, where's that? Okay, 35.
It's 35.
Those are all the same, those are.
Right, these are all the same, but in the, I guess this was the technical committee that was looking at this one that I'm working off of. It looks like they had struck the 35 across. I don't know why, it had gone to 25.
Because I think there was discussion about a two-story house. If there was a two-story house, then they would be able to see into the neighbors' yards.
Oh,
But if you, yeah, but that really limits your roof pitch when you think of
Right.
it. You've got to be
Part of this.
at least
Right.
35, I think.
And currently, I mean, that's what,
okay, so
Most
leave this at
neighborhoods are mixed
35.
with 1 and 2 stories, so.
Right. 'Cause we'll get into a discussion of flagpoles again if we don't.
Okay, and then the maximum building coverage.
Well, we could adjust it, I'm not sure what it is, but
Oh, this is the, this is the
permeable
impervious
cover.
cover.
no, the
Cover.
impervious is below.
Oh, the next line, well, okay, I'm looking at the star on here, the building coverage and impervious cover are granted an additional 10% when meeting 20611.
Building impact.
Hmm?
On-site, sewer facility, septic, so.
So leave it at 55?
Well, a 10,000 square foot lot, that's a 5,500 ranch.
Yeah,
That's pretty big.
And this, we're still looking at RN.
You gotta do a 2-story. No, I think that's too high.
yeah, I think,
I don't know how many square footage are adding in for the on-site sewer, because of where the sprinklers have to be, with the width of the lot and the length of the lot, with the placement of those sprayers for the on-site, so they're, I don't know if that comes part of, is affected by impervious cover, Dave, I don't remember. Where you put your septic, if it messes up on the impervious cover.
well, let's clarify the item. If served by an on-site sewer facility and septic tank, the maximum building coverage and impervious cover is reduced to 35%. So what that means is that the 55 is if they're using the wastewater system.
right,
If they're not, if they have septic, then it goes to 35%.
it goes to 35, right.
Yeah.
Which
It's
there's
kinda
no-
backwards of what-
Which there's no other category there that lists at
Right.
35.
So I think what they're saying is if it does have an on-site septic system, then it is reduced to 35%.
Correct.
Correct.
Yeah,
And
that's
if it's
correct.
served by a sewer line,
It
then
could
you
be
go up
55.
to the higher.
Right,
It go up to 55.
it could go up to 55.
And I still think that's too high on a 10,000 square foot lot.
Yeah, that's
For
over-
residential?
That's
Yeah.
over half the lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I know what the number is, but I don't think it's that.
Yeah, so why was this one RN? Why was that so high?
Well, it's a smaller lot compared to the others.
Yeah. we've just made a bunch of adjustments. It was even smaller when that was put in there, so, how about 40?
I think
Yeah.
that's a better number, 40 to 45.
That's a 4,000 square foot house.
Right,
On
that's a
lot.
big house.
That's a
for
big house for
Quarter acre
a
lot.
quarter
That's-
acre lot, yeah.
So,
is that
well, I mean,
too much?
No, I think,
I don't think it's
I
too much, you
think
can
you're
do
all right
it,
at
but
40.
it would be a,
Personal taste.
yeah, it would be 40 by 100
Well,
house.
your
This
neighbor.
does say maximum.
I'm not sure someone's gonna wanna
Right.
build that, but,
This
yeah.
just says maximum, so
Right.
it could be smaller.
Could be smaller, of
Yeah.
course, but I mean, you could build a 40-foot across the front by 100 deep house on that lot if you wanted to. I'm not sure I know who would do that, but you never know.
So,
I'm not walking that far to go to the bathroom.
so are we okay with 40? Looking at 40.
And that's for building coverage.
that's
Right.
building coverage.
Building cover, maximum.
Okay.
That does include, that does not include the driveway, is what it says, right?
Right, it's not the driveway,
Just the
the
building.
walls, just the building.
But
The
if,
building.
right, so you could have a house and you could have a detached garage, correct? And that would be part of that
That would be part of
calculation.
that.
Part of the
yes.
building
Right.
coverage.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, you could do that, yeah, whatever. Gives a little flexibility to a builder or something.
Yeah.
Okay, last item, maximum impervious cover for RN.
I would drop that down to 50.
Because these are like homes.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say probably 50.
Any other thoughts?
I'm good with that.
Okay. 50. Okay, so do we need to look at another column? And I know we were, well, these changed, actually, which is good.
Do we need to look at RE?
I actually want to
Where?
leave those for now and go to the either neighborhood commercial district or community mixed use, but let's go to neighborhood commercial. Let's look at that real quick. So that neighborhood commercial is, trying to see where it might be on the map. And I'm thinking that this got cut off when we did, instead of landscape, when we did portrait, it cut off the colors.
Yeah. That's why I pulled my,
I don't know that I have mine.
I pulled mine out of the book.
Can we go to that map? Can we go to the map where it actually shows all the colors?
So what do we have? Neighborhood commercial is currently B2, so.
That's,
But we don't have
is that,
light retail and retail anchor, what is it? Or mixed use office?
do we have an access? Neighborhood commercial, NC.
It's going to be section 2.03. It would be page 19, Karen, Ms. Diaz, of the document that you have, that the technical committee reviewed.
However, we still need to see where it is on the map.
on the map, I think NC is.
Page 39.
NC is going to be what currently is our office and professional district.
That's it. Oh, no, you're right.
On the map, it's going to be that
39.
kind of pinkish. Oh, on page
That's it.
39, it's kind of that orangey, peachy color.
Right. And it's on the,
It's on the side of 2252 where we have our office and
Yeah.
professional development. And
it's on the map, on the map on our monitor, it's pink. Up there, it kind of looks orange, lighter orange. So,
lot size currently in our zoning, current zoning ordinance shows that it needs to, in no case, be less than 3/4 acre. And we don't have a designation on here. But that doesn't mean we have to stay with the current ordinance. I'm just telling you where we currently are. Front yard setback is 45 feet.
currently,
Current.
okay.
Current side yard is 15-foot setback. Current rear alley right-of-way is 15 feet. But if it backs up to residential or residential agriculture, then it's a 25-foot, including the alley right-of-way. And impervious cover is a third of the lot area.
So
And
33.
this is where we were having a problem with the purpose cover anyway. Let's start at the top and go down. So, minimum front yard setback for the area on our screens, it shows kind of pink. Which would then mean that, if it's side or rear, is 20 feet, is it?
Yeah, I mean, well,
Need some thoughts on
20 feet would require rear parking. So you might want to increase that to something like 40 feet. But then again, it depends on the developer, they may want parking on the side or the rear.
that front light setback is going to be your building line. So in other words, the building cannot be any closer, 20 feet from, it's from the street line of the lot.
front yard setback for the 20 feet. Is that correct?
That's what this is saying on this chart. Currently, we're at 45.
Okay, so, thoughts? Because 20 won't work if you're going to do parking in the front, I don't think. Or you would have no.
No, have
No.
front parking.
But if that's okay, but then Commissioner Porter is saying that really stymies a developer not to have,
Would be a case by case, you know, if it makes sense and it works, let it go. I wouldn't put just leave it blank for now.
okay,
Maximum building coverage for down 50%, impervious coverage 5%, so we're kind of control of that aspect too, so it's really cool.
And those may be low. I actually, because they would have to, there ought to be environmental mitigating things that they could do, such as the oil separators and the drains and things like that, that they could have a higher impervious surface. But I'm not the engineer, he is.
so the 50 and 55, when we go down to maximum building coverage and then maximum impervious coverage,
And remember, they're also going to have to provide for their drainage,
right,
and a lot of that is going to be your detention pond.
Could be, yeah,
Situation.
if it's big enough, yeah.
So that's going to,
Control the lot size.
well, control that amount of pervious cover
Yeah, right,
that's,
so,
okay.
yeah.
So then we're good on the rest of these.
but also they're going to be on sewer.
Right.
And
So-
remember, a lot of our variances that have come in have asked for an increase in that impervious cover so
Because
that they can put the parking lots in.
Yeah.
And they had to have the septic.
So I
at
think-
one point.
The maximum impervious cover needs to go up quite a bit. I mean, if you build 50% for the building, it's one thing, but, which would work, I think, but 55% for the impervious cover is not going to provide them with the parking that they need. Especially if they're developing the space with the remediations that they're going to have to do. They could go higher.
So this is kind of where we'd had discussion before that this may not be enough for impervious
Impervious.
I
cover.
do not think it's enough.
Right.
So are we looking more at the 65 or what,
Well, 65 is the highest right now, but
that we have?
I don't know the origin of this chart. Has this just been put together? Did it get borrowed from another city or something? Or that seems low. I mean, if you go out and you look at commercial developments, and I'm just thinking where we go to the doctor in Bromfield, for instance, go to shops or restaurants, they're probably closer to 85%.
Yeah, because they've got a lot of,
But they
Parking.
got those retention structures that go with them to keep the runoff from being hazardous to the environment, so. Just off the cuff, I'd say 80% is. But I think it probably needs to be studied a little bit.
well, this isn't cast in stone anyway. This is something that, thinking about this, trying to be a little realistic.
And remember, we've got landscape requirements as well now.
Yeah, we don't want to be brownfields, but you have to give them something to work with if they want to build something.
So any other thoughts on maximum impervious cover? Well, I know, but do we want to put 80 or are there other thoughts? Seems a lot, but,
Well,
But-
you've
but-
been to these places and
Yeah.
you see what they've done. I mean, some of them look like they're virtually 100%, but they got little retention ponds off the back of the parking lot that when it floods, it goes in there and they can settle out the pollutants.
right. I mean, they don't, a lot of these places do not have a lot of landscaping and all.
No, they don't.
Small,
That's what they
small
don't have.
sections,
Yeah.
but not much. They have sidewalks and they have parking, huh?
I think we have a section that talks all about vegetation and setbacks and
Right.
trees and bushes and all kinds of stuff, so we have to certainly accommodate that in there.
And then there are, materials that can be used in those parking areas that are pervious. They're a little bit more costly,
The type of parking
right?
they use.
That, perhaps if they want more than the percentage that we allow, they provide the pervious type
Right.
materials.
It becomes pervious even if it is parking because of the material they use.
That's correct.
Just more weed control.
Yes.
So do we want to go with 80 here or do I hear?
Clarification on the,
Now, remember, this
Asterisk.
too is the office and professional area.
Right.
Okay, sorry, I'm sorry, Chairman, Mr. Valdez.
okay, I was gonna, just on the asterisk, it's, the first part of that asterisk says, the building coverage and impervious covers are granted an additional 10% when meeting 2.06.11C. And that has to do with, hold on,
We're gonna have
low
to
impact
change
site
that.
development. You know, if you meet that, you get an extra 10%. And that impermeable cover is under that one, has that covered under
Okay,
that section. So the parking, like Blackwell used, allows that. So you get 10% if you follow these other things. I'm not sure about everything in here. When I'm looking through here, I thought that covered the sewer line, but it doesn't. It does give you leeway under miscellaneous there at the bottom, at the last section of that, is city may consider other low-impact site development controls on a case-by-case basis. So, but like I said, I really understand that, getting an extra 10% that way. I'd rather control it with one number. Or,
Well, we have to remember to go back and.
yeah, look at all
adjust
that.
Yeah. So, we want to go with 80. And then adjust the language to where this is maximum.
Yeah, I think we need to increase it to something, 75, 80, whatever. But I also think that if you do that, you're gonna have to come up with some kind of remediation requirements based on that high of a impervious surface.
Okay, so I think that's what that other section was saying, because if we, say we give them 70, but with this other section saying if you can do certain things, or you can use a different type of material on your parking area, you get an additional 10%, so then you go up to more. So we have to be careful. If we put a high maximum, we have to adjust the other to where,
Well, I first think we ought to, the first sentence of that asterisk, I'm always rather remove that first sentence and replace it with if serviced by the wastewater system, so that you are not using septic tank, basically. And then if you're not, then it drops to 35% or whatever. Because these other, I'm not sure I totally understand. I need to study that section some more, actually.
So we need to possibly take off
That first,
sentence.
the first sentence of that. I'm just throwing that out there right now. I'm not, yeah. Because I really don't understand the whole, that extra 10%, but it doesn't tie it down to have to use the wastewater
Yeah, there's
line.
no mention.
Don't mention of that anywhere in there.
Yeah, because that would.
Oh, there it is,
dramatically reduce
the
it.
2 asterisk does. See, if this property is service, no. Okay, got it. Never mind. Where's the 2 asterisk? Go. I don't see any.
I don't see.
I don't see any two asterisk.
There's no two asterisks.
Oh, there's up here on the minimum lot area,
Oh,
square footage. And yeah,
but how does that?
that just says it was not service zone.
If it's serviced by septic.
Oh, that's where you come with the 32.
Yeah,
32,
needs a
6, 7.
3/4 acre, yeah.
So, if we take off the first sentence on the footnotes essentially,
Well, I think we need, maybe study that whole section and see how it should allow 10% more.
well, but then we would have to have a lower number.
Yeah.
We could do 80. So do we want to say circle this and come back to it after looking?
Well, I was thinking yes. That's what I'm proposing.
Because we still wanted to keep that ambiance of the city,
Yeah.
and we wanted that landscaping,
And the trees.
and I think you get that impervious up too high. Yes, it gives the developer more flexibility, but then we may potentially be losing some of what we're striving to try to keep.
Right.
So maybe that's why it was at 55.
It may have been.
Maybe.
Or do you feel more comfortable at least going to 60 and for the time being and then looking over the additional?
I'm okay with that, yeah. Sure.
And that's impervious, correct? Was that impervious,
Yes,
correct?
impervious.
To 60.
Is that
Okay.
all right with the rest of you for now till we have to go back and study? If we're gonna give additional percentages, then we need to know, and also we have to look at the wastewater.
Well, we can set it at 60 and do some more research, connect it. We need to change it, we'll come
Right.
back to it.
Right, that's
But
exactly what we're saying.
If we want to tag a number into it, then
Right.
probably the happy median at 60
More
would satisfy
review
that,
needed.
so.
Exactly what we're saying, okay. Do we want to look at another one? Where's the blue area? That's the community, is that neighborhood mixed use? Number 2?
Mixed use.
Mixed use.
I know, but is it neighborhood or community?
We've got two different mixed-use units, categories. Those are the ones that we do not have any equivalent for, and I think both of them, either one of those could have gone in that section.
Except for, because it looks like mixed use on this is not only having, looks like you might end up with like the 2-story things where you have dwellings on top. And then here's one with 14, and then here's the other one with 8.
That's the only thing different between the two columns.
Neighborhood mixed use, multifamily was gonna be special use,
But we
or
were
loft
looking at
apartment.
not having multifamilies. Is that
This
the
was-
discussion?
This was gonna be the chart that we were gonna go over in the next technical
Right,
meeting.
all that.
Mhm.
But just on tonight's chart, this 20507.
This one, community mixed use allows by, the garden home, single-family detached.
Okay, let's not tackle that one, because I think the technical group still needs to do the other, so we don't mesh them. And, but then, do we want to look at the neighborhood mixed use, or put those two to say,
probably wait and let technical,
think that-
y'all gotta come in and do it, there's,
Well, right. And
No
then-
reason to discuss it.
Once we get that situated, then we can look at these numbers. We can move back to the residential estate, which is the current, single family, right?
See, the current
Already,
the current residential doesn't have a setback for the rear setback, but it does have that 25 feet minimum. If we put the 25 foot there, then we don't have to worry about having something else somewhere else, right?
If we put the,
If we put 25 for the minimum rear yard setback, then you don't have to worry about, right now it says you can't build behind,
right now, minimum is 15 for RE.
but I mean, our current zoning.
our current is, well, our current doesn't have the 25-foot rear setback. It just says you have to have 25 feet of a
Yard.
rear yard.
Right.
So I think I'd rather just say 25 feet setback.
No, you're going to get a lot of variances
Are you?
Yeah.
for people that want to build storage buildings,
Oh,
pools.
it's, on a 3/4 acre lot, 25-foot setback is a lot of property.
Yeah,
On the rear side, yes.
yeah,
so
yep,
leaving it at 15 might be better.
Yeah.
okay. I can understand that.
Okay, so let's look at the other numbers. Do we need to?
I don't think
I
so.
don't think so. I think we're good.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Do you want to back up one more to, well, this says AG, but it's the RA, right? Our current RA?
Agricultural.
Yes.
Those are going to, well, to me, that's going to be kind of hard because most of those properties are not platted.
Well, true, and most of the properties are the ones that are wanting to come in and change to a different, district anyway. So let's leave that too.
Yeah, you won't have any coming in to be asking to be rezoned to this.
No, it's going from.
They're
this
either
to
that
something
now,
else.
or they're gonna go to something smaller. I was gonna say the 120,000 square feet seemed awful high to me, but, it doesn't really make a difference.
Yeah, it's 2 3/4 acre, I calculate, yeah. That's 2 3/4 acre minimum.
We want to look at light industrial. We good with what the current numbers are showing?
I don't like the 0 on the minimum yard setback.
Yeah.
For the
That's what I was just
interior.
looking at.
Okay, but what about the front yard setback? Start with that. You okay with the 40? Light industrial. Light industrial is one piece. Looks like it's one piece by number 4.
Lot size cannot be less than 3/4 acre. 45-foot front yard setback.
Is our current?
Yes,
It's almost,
45. But yeah, I mean, our current light industrial allows for a residence in there.
yeah.
Although that's showing, blank for dwelling units.
No, we're not going to allow it in the future, but the current one does
Okay,
allow.
okay, so,
does, yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
This is future,
You're right.
all right.
So it's really, the only issue is the 0.
Yeah, the 0, minimum side yard setback.
I don't like 0 either. We have it in quite a few of them.
Really?
I would think we want to keep our current. for all these.
So, Nancy, what is the current interior minimum side yard setback for light industrial?
A side yard setback is 15 feet down each property line, and they call it a pay valley right-of-way.
Why don't we just go with that for everything? I don't know why it'd go to zero. Why did it go to zero?
Yeah.
I'd reckon,
So is that interior, is there a corner that's,
It doesn't have a corner.
so why don't we just take the zero out and just say 15 for both?
Okay.
15 for both?
Right. Just put, just take the zero out and just have 15 in the block. Well, that's the minimum one. Some are already 20 and some are 25, and, keep those the way they are. Just take the zero, where my thought would be, wherever there's a zero, just eliminate the zero and keep the other number there.
Okay.
It'll suffice for both interior and corner.
And then minimum rear yard setback?
Current is 15 feet for the length of the rear property line, and that's basically an alley right-of-way.
Okay, because this
Paved.
thing
This
says
says
40.
Yeah.
40 for light and 50 for heavy.
I don't know why it would need to be more. 15 sounds.
I think there was concern about what it may back up to.
Well, right now, backs up to the railroad track, and I don't know, here. This is rear. Do we want to adjust that? That seems like a lot.
Yeah. I don't think you need to go to 40 on the rear setback. That's on Freezing Hans property right there where all the storage is at.
What is it currently, Nancy?
15 feet, a paved alley right-of-way, but if it backs up to residential or residential agriculture, it has to be a minimum of a 25-foot, including alley right-of-way. So,
Well, we probably ought to reduce that 40, huh?
Yeah, current sounds reasonable.
The what?
Current sounds reasonable.
But how would we state that?
15.
Just the 15?
I'd just make it 50.
Same for heavy.
Yep.
Because look at it, it's 50. Well, because I would imagine it would still have the same language that goes with it. If it backs up to something, then,
only if we specify it in here, because that's not the language that's in our,
Current,
in the
in the new
proposed
one.
ordinance. That's something that would have to be added. But how much light industrial is going to back up to residential?
I think that's where the number 40 came from. It was 25 plus 15, which is what's in the current, would give you 40.
okay, but right now, the only light industrial that we have does not back up to any, well,
Theoretically, something in the future might,
Could be, yeah.
and so you never know. Something
Yeah.
could get rezoned, and then you're
yeah,
in a bit of a pickle.
yeah.
So,
So 15 may not be good.
You could put another 4 asterisks and put that in
A caveat in there with that language,
with that language.
4 asterisks.
can I have to mention?
Get that one?
Just something to distinguish.
Okay, so what number do we want there with the 4 asterisks that we would have to put in there.
25 feet,
Huh?
25 feet if it's next to residential.
25 feet, I'm trying to envision.
It's not much,
I know.
It's about half
but
the
it
length of
depends
this
on what
room,
it is.
half the width of this room.
And then when you go from light industrial and then heavy industrial. Heavy is the quarry.
Currently, the quarry.
Yeah, currently the quarry. Now where do I put 100? Oh, yeah, I know. Okay, so with caveat, we need to, I think 15's too little, actually, now.
Well, if we put the 25, that covers everything.
Yeah,
Like Mr. Porter said.
okay. Do we do the
That
same
covers
for
both of
heavy?
them.
Okay,
Then you don't need that extra caveat.
all right. Now, why do we, okay, do we, minimum lot frontage with the cul-de-sac, do we need this?
I would leave a cul-de-sac in
Okay.
because it could be possible that
That they
someone
would-
does want to develop a property that has a cul-de-sac in it, that these properties would front onto. I would leave that.
Okay. What about the rest of the numbers? Maximum building coverage. Why would we give 40 in the light industrial and 25 in the heavy? Because they're just not, they don't need buildings.
And
And
some of this too, if we review the uses in those different areas, that might also help with understanding what types of
Could
businesses
go in there.
could go in and what kind of, how we want that lot set up.
Okay. Very good. Any more thoughts for the time being on this table? We still have to come back to it, but not until after technical committee has reviewed a different chart.
No.
All right. There's no more comments on that. We will move on to item 5.2, or is that, no, that item 5.3.2. Okay, at the last commission meeting, we had some discussion because this is our favorite topic, the strategic committee and what they're, what they're supposed to be helping with or what their charge is. The discussion was that a good thing for the strategic committee to possibly how to assist would be when ideas for communicating the new ordinance to residents. So, at the last meeting, the city attorney said as long as the communication follows the Texas Open Meeting Act rules and be publicly posted, it should work. Because we had talked about having town halls, or we had talked about, other types of how to communicate this new ordinance. But that seems to be a good thing for the strategic committee to look at. Because I don't see you guys doing anything. I mean, really, there isn't much else for them to do with regard to, presenting to city council, because that's what we would be doing. But when it comes to how do we present this to residents, to the residents of Garden Ridge, maybe that's where, the strategic committee could put their heads together and say, Would they spearhead a presentation or whatever? So that was the discussion.
As a member of that committee, I would have no objection to that. The leadership of that committee needs to come forward.
Well, we would need to probably talk to the leadership of that committee, or possibly the commissioners could present or talk to the leadership, the council members on that committee, and say, this was a thought that was discussed, and possibly something to get our teeth into.
I'll be more than happy to do that.
Any other thoughts? No, that's for now. Okay. Moving on to item 541, or I. Does anyone have any questions or any items to discuss with regard to ordinance 210? No? All right, then we will move on to business item 5C. Input on future agenda items. The one thing that I think we should keep on the agenda going forward as we get closer to hopefully finalizing our ordinance and moving on to talking, to the residents and all, is the possibility of keeping on the interactive map for future. Because Commissioner Valdez gave a briefing on what Schertz is doing, and they have an interactive map. Now, theirs is extensive. Ours could be scaled back, but still have something out on the website for residents to see maybe what's coming, or, something.
It could be simplified to just even a list of properties. We'll take it, yeah, but somewhere to just people can go searching what's going on here.
Yeah.
But I would say something simpler than an interactive map, I think would be too.
So do you want this back on the agenda
Is
for
that
next month? Because this is technically
Well-
not on the agenda right now.
I'm sorry, it's not.
Yeah,
No.
so.
No, but my thought was, well, where do we need a placeholder for it so we don't just forget about it?
Right, no, I have
Well-
it on here, so basically I was waiting until Commissioner
future-
Valdez or somebody else asked for it during
Okay.
this section, it'll go on the next agenda. So we want it
So-
on January's,
I don't think so.
or we're not ready?
I don't
We're
think
not
so.
ready. Okay.
Question.
I would think, yeah.
How do we propose to produce this product? Do we have a private firm? Is there a volunteer that has the CAD skills?
We can't discuss it at this
In the long
point.
run, how, I have a lot of experience in doing this kind of work, not personally, but people used to work for me.
So, right now, we can't really talk about what your thoughts are, which, don't forget it, because we can put it on, when it goes on the agenda,
Then we-
that's when we need to discuss.
Oh, it's not on the agenda.
Yeah, we can't discuss it, just.
So, yeah, let's get it on the agenda.
Yes, just don't forget. Okay.
I think we need to come back, because I know Nancy was saying she's gonna do some research on the anchor retail minimum square foot for that.
Well, that would be covered under 5.3I. So that's,
Probably need to put that back.
We talking about the master land use map again? Is that what?
Right,
Yeah.
so we can revisit that.
All right. Our next meeting date is January 12th, 2021, at 6 p.m. here in City Hall. Now we are on to the second citizen comment period, and I don't, unless somebody is, would you like to? No? Okay. All right, then, that concludes all items on the agenda. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
All right.
Aye.
We are adjourned at 7:04.